Hi, thanks for tuning in to High on Horror. I'm Drew.
And I'm John. This episode and every future episode is dedicated to the horror hounds and smokers out there who want to expand their knowledge of the genre and have a good time.
Today we're reviewing and discussing The Collingswood Story. Although this film is over 20 years old now, it's even more relevant today than it was when it was made. It predates all films that use video chats and FaceTiming and puts a supernatural twist on it. And with us today we have the writer and director, Michael Costanza, and he's going to spill his guts to us in an exclusive interview as we dig up this cult classic. All that and more today on
High on Horror.
Interviews, reviews, and the latest news all rolled into one. Alright, we're going to start this episode off with Trainwreck like we always do so we can get good and good for this episode. If you hear that train rolling, you know it's Trainwreck, the segment of our show where we discuss what we're smoking this episode. John, what are we smoking, man?
I didn't really feel like going through a whole lot of shit. I just want to get to the smoking. So, we'll sandwich Fatso from last week with cotton candy again from 2 weeks ago.
Oh, so you're sticking with the Killer Clown theme?
Yeah.
We did cotton, so we did cotton candy, Fatso, and now cotton.
And hopefully
candy.
that game comes out soon. I'm in the Discord, but there's no updates on like a beta or anything, and there's a lot of just nonsense going on in that group.
Well, speaking of games, funny you say that. What I wanted to talk about today, we wanted to bring it up last week, I forgot, is the Twisted Metal television series, a live-action television series that's being put out by Peacock. Again, another Peacock thing. Peacock is kicking ass. I'm really digging
AMAC gonna be on that joint.
Yeah,
Anthony Mackie.
Anthony Mackie is starring. Yeah, Anthony Mackie. Yeah, but Peacock is really kicking ass. Like, I'm really impressed with the content that they've been putting out lately. The trailer for this Twisted Metal show looks awesome. I played the games growing up on PlayStation with my sister, and it was always a ton of fun. They were just ridiculous chaos, violent games, car chase games. Loved it. So, I don't actually have a date here of when it's supposed to premiere. Maybe it said it in the trailer. I don't remember, but it is a 2023 series. And it's about primed and ready to go. Like
2023?
2023. What'd I say?
23rd? Maybe you didn't. Maybe you did. Maybe I don't know, bro.
Okay,
I've already hit that shit.
It's a 2023 show. Yes, and it will be.
You probably said it right, and I just corrected you, and I look like an idiot. So it's a 2023 show. I think you
right
mean 2023.
July 27th. There we go.
Nice.
July 27th. There is
We'll definitely cover some of that.
Months, yeah. All right, yeah. So what do you think about that? Did you play the games?
Yeah, funny enough, I've been annoying talking about my Steam Deck and all the emulation I can do. I actually downloaded the first two Twisted Metals for PlayStation. Yeah. So I had both of those. That's legal. I legally obtained those ROMs. I own both games. Playing the first one, honestly, was a little rough going back to.
Really?
Because I'm used to modern controls where like you can
so good.
You can use the right thumbstick to control the camera. The camera goes with you as you're turning. You don't have control over the camera. So that kind of messed with me. But oh man, I remember the original one. I got it for Christmas, like the year after I got my PlayStation. I mean, I played the shit out of the first one. Fucking rooftop at the end, man. I knew how to just wait for, I can't remember the one at the end. I know Warthog is the tank, but it was like this big giant tank. It had everybody's specials. I can't remember it, but because I didn't even get that far when I re-downloaded it.
I always liked Sweet Tooth.
I feel like Sweet Tooth was the go-to. I liked Mr. Grimm too, the motorcycle.
Do you know who plays Sweet Tooth on the show?
Yeah, you and I were talking about it. Samoa Joe.
That's right, your boy.
I don't mind Samoa Joe, but you don't know who's the voice actor.
Correct. Who's voicing him?
Will Arnett.
Oh shit!
I feel like that'll be good. You got Samoa Joe's body with a clown mask and Will Arnett's voice.
Yeah, that'll definitely be interesting.
I wonder how many of the characters they're actually going to have in it.
I don't know. I see right now it's that's a very good question. I'm gonna take a quick look and see. They got Raven, Quiet, Loud.
Yeah, I got Loud.
Yeah, I would be Loud. Agent Stone, Sweet Tooth. Nev Campbell is on the show.
I don't think that name the characters from it? Nev Campbell? Wait, she's a character in?
She plays Raven. And then, yeah, so no, not really too many actual characters were listed on the cast.
Yeah, and I mean, let's see, the original one I played, it doesn't even sound like too many from the original game. The original game, I know they had Sweet Tooth, Mr. Grimm. Who else was in it?
I just think it's funny that when you look to show up on Google that Samoa Joe gets top billing over Anthony Mackie.
That is interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to the show. Are you still looking up characters to be on the show?
Yeah, because, like, it's bothering me. Cause,
Yeah, I feel like there should have been more,
well, if you go to the character page,
just seeing a lot of
I
sweet
wonder, is Calypso in it? Because he's the one that puts the whole thing together.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, but I liked Mr. Grimm. He was the motorcycle guy, and he threw the skull.
Yeah. Bringing back old memories with me, man. Old
And
memories.
who was
Been
the
so
other one
long.
I used a lot? I think it was Spectre, the white car.
Yeah.
I always felt like everybody always played as Sweet Tooth
Yep,
or Needles Kane.
I always played a Sweet Tooth. My sister was always like creeped out by him, so it was always the one that I picked. Like you said, I feel like it was so. Now that I think about it, it was so cliche to always play as him. I should have
Yeah.
tried other characters.
But
more.
it's funny, like I say
love to
that, but when
replay
I
it.
downloaded it for my Steam Deck,
Yeah.
first character I played as was Sweet Tooth.
Do you think it would be something that you could like buy or download on like the Xbox store? Because I would totally buy it for my Xbox.
Maybe like one of the newer ones, Twisted
Okay.
Metal Black.
Okay.
Because I have that downloaded from the PlayStation Store, so
Okay,
you might
okay.
be able to.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. Me too. Do you did you have anything you wanted to talk about this week?
Nope.
Oh, you just wanted to smoke? All right,
I just
then.
want to smoke and talk about Twisted Metal.
All right. Well, then I guess it's time for us to get into horror history.
This week in horror history.
All right, so we got us some horror hiss.
Horror history?
It's
Horror hiss?
It's horror hiss.
It's horror hiss now? All right. We've been calling it that for a while. Let's just make it
it's
official.
just whatever we want to call it.
It's
that
horror
week.
hiss. Is it HIS or HISS or
I was like two
HISSS?
S's.
Like maybe like a
like
snake, like
s-
horror hiss.
Hiss. Josh, get us a sound effect for the hiss.
For real, yeah. It's horror hiss now. Let's do it.
I don't think Josh. I think it's. If I imagine when this episode gets put out, it's just going to be a regular ass horror history sound. I don't think Josh is making up a special one.
We'll find out when the
We'll
episode
find out
airs.
when this airs.
Love you, Joshy Boo.
When the hell's this airing? Like a month or some shit? I don't even know. I just show up, record, and put out the episode you tell me to
The
put out.
listeners don't know. It's supposed to air the week it comes out.
It's supposed to air the week it comes out. Oh, May 7th. So
Supposed to be
whatever May
recorded the week it
7th
comes out, I mean.
is.
It's supposed to air the week it comes out. What? Supposed to be recorded the week it comes out.
I don't think that's true.
No, but shh, don't give away our secrets, man.
Trade
Top
secrets? Yeah, because no podcast ever records ahead of time. So, obviously, since we're in the month of May, for real, May
It's gonna
7th.
be May. I think you said that last year.
It's going to be May.
Anyway,
Marilyn Burns, Sally, played Sally in TCM,
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah, the original Sally.
1949. Oh, God, I am going to butcher this name.
Ruggero Deodato.
Thank you.
Got you. Yeah.
Thank you. Save me. Cannibal Holocaust director, 1939.
Yep.
Ishiro Honda, the creator of the Honda automobile, 1911.
1911. Yeah, that's crazy. No, Ishihiro Honda is a legend. He's the he directed the first Godzilla film and
There it is.
several sequels. He's a legend. So yeah, happy birthday.
I think we talked about this on some episode at this point. I don't know. We're closing in on 100. It's hard to remember everything. Being a stoner, it's hard to remember anything 2 weeks ago. But
2 days ago.
2 minutes ago. But
Yeah, 2 seconds ago.
all right. The Burning, 1981.
Elite slasher goodness, yeah, man. Top 5 for sure.
Definitely made hedge clippers very violent.
Oh yeah.
Friday the 13th, the OG.
Pamela Anderson is pissed in this
Yeah,
one.
Pamela Anderson. If you listen to whatever episode that one was.
Whatever. You're worse.
I'm so bad.
It was Yeah, you're right though. I can't remember. It was 1 or 2 episodes ago, and then
It's whatever at
They're going
this
to air in
point.
a different order. I don't know.
Anyway,
If you
yeah.
listen to this season, you'll get the Pamela Anderson reference if you listen
Oh,
to the
man.
episodes in order.
That kept me laughing for days. I went home. I told Nicole about it.
I forgot to tell my wife. I gotta tell Sam. She's gonna be. I know she's just gonna dog me though.
May 9th, 1955, birthday. We got Kevin Hall from Predator 1 and 2.
Yeah, man, he was a tall guy. Played Predator and the Predator in both films. Legend.
And-
It's a shame he's not around, man, because he would do a great job still playing. I mean, granted, he'd be a lot older, but he would be doing a great job playing a. You know how cool it would be to see him play a Predator, even if it was like a cameo. If like at like the end of like a Prey movie or a Prey 2 or whatever, you saw like him like standing there like in some sort of like elder costume makeup. Like I don't know, that'd be something really cool. It's a shame that he's not here because the Predator franchise is living on.
Yeah, and once again, you're going to just say again you don't know anything. I think it was an episode, a couple episodes ago, question about werewolves, about favorite werewolf movies. Dog Soldiers 2002.
Yeah, and that's Neil Marshall at his finest. This and The Descent are near perfection. The Descent's better, but I really hope that he does a movie again that reaches the height of these 2 movies, man. Because like when these 2 movies came out, it was like, yo, this Neil Marshall cat is a beast. And then he went on to do other shit. He's still a beast. He directed Game of Thrones episodes and shit. But
Oh yeah,
you know, his
I forgot about
Hellraiser, his Hellboy movie was pretty bad though. But that wasn't his fault from what I've heard. But
that. We got.
what do I know?
I don't have a year on this one, but 28 weeks later.
Oh, 28 weeks later. Yeah, I mean, what do you like? Do you like that more than the first one?
No,
No, I don't either. It's close, but
I got
like,
Chili
they're
and
really
Murphy
good.
in the first one.
2007, brother. 2007.
Thank you.
Yeah, Chili and Murphy.
Yeah, you like
Yeah.
Chili and Murphy.
No, you get to see Chili and Murphy's chili dog too. but
He's
no,
been
yeah,
in a couple of
the first film's better for sure.
a couple good horror movies. This and Red Eye.
Yeah, and
I mean, I guess is Red Eye a horror movie?
yeah, it's a thriller, and I mean, technically, he plays a really scary villain in Batman Begins, a Scarecrow in the first. Not in Dark Knight Rises, he's kind of like goofy, but in in Batman Begins, he's serious. But I think 28 Weeks Later is a really good movie, but it's I'm still waiting on the next film. Supposedly, it's happening. They say it's ready to go, but we'll see. But I think it was one of those things where like 28 days later did something new and it was great, and then this one came out and it was good, but it was like. It's nothing new though because it already been done. So
Nothing
that's
about
where,
zombies.
yeah.
But just an excuse to talk about 28 Days Later. I saw that in theaters.
Okay.
And this dude came in, I guess, when did the first one come out? Like 2004?
2002?
I don't,
Was it 2002?
I
Like
don't know. We're probably both way off.
no, maybe
Anyway.
2002. I was
Oh,
right.
damn. Okay.
Yeah.
So me
What?
and my buddy Miguel went to go see it. And when we get in there and the movies just start, we sit up front. This guy comes in a couple minutes later after us. This is 2002, so my man got a flip phone. And he's just sitting there, like, second row, just talking. And somebody, like, in the back just yells, "Shut the fuck up!" And, dude, no lie, like, half the audience started applauding. I'm like, man, you got to feel like a real scumbag at that point that, like,
Yeah.
half the theater's like, yeah, fuck you.
Yeah, like nobody's even coming to your defense. They're like,
Yeah.
with the dude that happened. Our buddy, I'm not going to mention his last name, begins with a G, but our buddy Tim, who we used to know from school, from William Penn High School. I went to see Underworld, the second one, Underworld Evolution. That was the best one in my opinion. But I went to see that in theaters with him and a couple of other friends, and a baby started crying, and it wouldn't stop. And I mean, it was only through like the first 2 minutes of the movie. Like Tim had no patience, and this baby's crying, and he just goes, "Throw that thing off a fucking roof or something." And the woman just got up and like looked around, but like, you know, he didn't know what to say. And then she left the theater. Never paid attention if she came back or not. But yeah, I don't know, man. That's why I'm scared to bring my kids to the movies, because like, I mean, Abel, my oldest, is cool, but Gavin, I don't see it happening. I don't see
he's
my.
just
I'm
gonna
gonna
walk
get
up and
cussed
start
out.
talking to people.
But the worst part about it is I feel like you deserve it. And I feel like that's why people never really start fights, because when you bring a
Like
movie,
Scream. Somebody brought a baby to Scream.
when you bring a baby to a movie theater, I'm sorry, I have kids too. I know what it's like when you want to get out and do something, you got a damn kid with you, and you know they're everywhere you are and got to do everything you do. But I feel that like you're almost asking to get cussed out, so it's almost like something you just got to deal with and let go if you do that, because you are interrupting other people's times who are fortunate enough to have babysitters and shit. So you can't expect everybody to just be patient and deal with your kid, you know. So I mean, I would never yell at anybody, but it definitely is annoying. And I just rambled like a motherfucker. This weed is good.
Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood, 1988.
Look, man, I know that we differ on which Jason movie is our favorite and the best, but this is the most badass Jason's ever looked, man. Prove me wrong. You really think he looks better in Jason Lives, looks-wise?
I was going to say, like, looks-wise, like,
Yeah.
I mean...
You're going to say remake, right?
I mean,
He looks
let's...
badass in the remake.
Damn, man, I feel like you're just going to shake your head when I say this.
You're going to say Roy?
Roy. That was Roy. I would say, like, the two worst ones in the franchise. Jason X, the Uber Jason looks cool. But Jason Goes to Hell in that beginning scene with his, head, with his brains, like, bulging out and shit.
Yeah, with, like, the blue jeans and the tucked-in blue button-up.
Yeah, and he's got, like, that massive-ass fucking head.
Yeah, it's like his head's outgrowing the mask or something. Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. I mean...
So that and Uber Jason and Jason X opening Jason are the two worst for you? Okay, well, what do you think's the most badass look for Jason? Like,
well, no. I'm saying those are like some of the most badass looks, but they're like the two worst movies in the franchise.
right,
to
okay,
me. Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X, but I feel like both of the Jasons look good.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
I mean, I also like Jason Takes Manhattan, but I mean, like, I feel like the Jasons looked better as the movies went on.
Agreed. Like I said, I think remake Jason, Derek Mears looked badass. I thought he looked really badass, you know?
Oh, with that trench coat.
Yeah. And that dingy long john.
Also from 1988, we got Maniac Cop.
Yeah, man, I was obsessed with
Cop.
Maniac. I was obsessed with Maniac Cop when I first discovered it, and it's still an absolute favorite of mine. William Lustig, he was on a roll back in the 80s, man. After Maniac, he cranked some fucking movies out, like
He was cranking stuff out in movies too.
Maniac Cop, Vigilante. Those are my three favorite films of his.
I mean, why didn't he just name it Maniac Vigilante too? Like,
all of his movies are, like, in a way about just, like, vigilantes in a way, like, rather they're the good kind or the bad kind.
he was best as Willie Chi-Chi in the Godfather series.
Joe Spinell.
Yeah. And I guess that'll about wrap it up for horror history. So time to get on to that PPA.
Puff Puff Ask.
Yo, man. Puff, puff, pass.
Puff Puff Ask is a segment of our show where we read off messages that you listeners write into us on social media at highonhorror420 and through email at highonhorror420@gmail.com and our official website, highonhorror.com. I'll start with the first message. Nicole, not your fiance, John.
Okay, I figured if she had a question, she just asked me.
Right. Okay, Nicole asks us, do you guys think you'll ever make a horror movie together? And if so, what kind of movie do you think it would be? Obviously it's horror. I picked that. It's a unique question. I've always wanted to make a movie, but I never. Maybe, you know, Nicole's heard me saying that I've wanted to make a movie, but I don't think that it. I think that if I made a movie or if we made a movie, that it would either be like really fucked up to the point where like we'd get in trouble, like Serbian film shit, like not that type of stuff, but just extreme like Terrifier 2 type of stuff, you know, where we'd get a lot of bad reactions to it because of how far it went, or it would be some like really stupid stoner comedy, like horror comedy about stoners, but we don't have any plans on making a movie right now, do we, John?
No, but it's funny because you said the stupid like stoner movie. Remember, I've been fucking around
I knew it.
on ChatGPT. I've been fucking around on ChatGPT, and I have it in the works of writing a movie about demons that take over a dispensary.
Don't give it away. People will steal the idea now. No,
but
that's really cool,
it was called like Soul Smoker. Is the name of the title.
That's a badass title too. Like,
but do I have any chance?
Soul. I don't smoke weed. I smoke souls.
Yeah, and then I have a whole. I've been working with the AI, but no, I don't think we'll ever end up making a movie. It's like when you and your friends are always like, "Hey, let's start a band," but none of you play any instruments. Like, it's just that thing you say, like, "Hey, we'd start a band."
You want to change the world, but you ain't.
Be like, "Hey, you would play drums." Like, none of us know how to play any instruments. It's just that thing. Or we're going to start a business.
But do you agree with me though that it would either be extreme or it would be like ridiculous?
It's going to be a stoner horror comedy for sure.
And it might still be ridiculous and go too far with like gore and kills and stuff.
Or it's probably going to be a slasher movie.
Yeah, or a silly stoner comedy slasher movie. That's probably like it's going to check off all of the above, and for some reason we make it all work.
Although the stoner one I have is more of a supernatural because it's got demons and
We'll find a way to get some blood up in there.
bongs.
We'll find a way to do some blood up.
Kenny's in it.
Hey, Kenny, if you're listening.
Kenny knows about it.
Who do you got a question from?
What's up? From Derek D.
Derek D. All
Derek
right.
D. What's a good horror game to play when you have people over?
Okay.
Okay. What was that one I had? It was like Trivial Pursuit or something. It was like, but it was horror. I think
it was a horror
was it Trivial Pursuit?
I don't remember what it was
Dude,
called. but it
them
was
shits
yeah, it
were
was
hard.
really
Even
good.
you and I were struggling on
It was
some
it
of
was
those.
tough. Yeah, like they whoever made that.
It asked
game,
about a lot of silent films from the early like 1900s that
Yeah,
I'm just
that-
not familiar with.
I was gonna say whoever did the game did their research because these were not basic like Chucky questions. These were like
I mean,
you had
there
to
was
know
some
your
of those
shit.
in there, but like some. I mean, it was a good mix of like questions. And
Yeah.
then, yeah.
What about you? You have like a Jaws game, right, or a Thing game? Isn't
yeah,
that a game? That's
yeah.
something
We
you
still
could
got to play
recommend.
that Thing game, but the Jaws one, yeah, you could play up to 4 people on that one.
But you haven't actually played yet, so you don't. But I mean, it's a recommendation, I guess. We
Well,
can
no,
recommend it,
the
but-
Jaws one I've played.
Okay, and it's good. It's like
yeah,
decent.
yeah. Nicole and I play. You need a minimum of 2, maximum of 4.
Okay, we can.
But,
yeah,
I,
would
but
love
I
to
haven't
play
played
that.
the Alien one, but that one seems interesting because you're not competing against each other. You're supposed to be working as a team together to get off to the Nostromo.
Yeah.
Or I think, yeah,
Okay.
I think that was it. It's supposed to basically be the first movie,
Okay.
but yeah, you're not competing against each other. You're all working together to win.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's so you're just trying to take
Yeah,
Bruce
so
down.
like,
Bruce
well,
the
we'll
shark
have to
down.
play that sometime.
Okay, yeah. Well, like I guess my thing would be like
It's hard to find video games to like. I guess maybe Left 4 Dead if you had 2 to 4 people you could play, but
yeah.
yeah,
Left 4 Dead,
there's
love
not
Left
too
4
many
Dead.
like really video games.
Left
to
4
play.
Dead 2 was my shit. But yeah, like in terms of being like social,
Yeah.
there's not. Yeah, I was gonna say like if you're playing a game in the background or actually playing a game, it's 2 different scenarios. Because like to me, playing a board game is the best option in being social. You know, like we were just saying. Because
That's how we played the Godzilla game, wasn't
yeah,
it? Threw on Child's Play 2, make Kenny watch it and play
exactly.
Godzilla.
Best thing to do: put a horror movie on in the background and play a game. But yeah, I think playing a board game is the best for interacting with people. You know, that way it's not just like you being quiet and like cussing at your remote when shit's going wrong on the screen. But there's a lot of board games out there, and that's why I said I wanted to bring up the Jaws game because I have the Godzilla one. It's not really horror, but I know that there's I think there's even a My Bloody Valentine game out now that Fright Rags did. Like the horror game board games have like upped, and the only actual board game I have that's from any movie, I don't know what it's worth. It's probably not worth anything, but I kept it because it's really cool. So I have an original Home Alone board game from when the movie came out.
Oh,
And
nice.
yeah, that's it. So that's I don't really have any recommendations in horror.
Hey, can we
games.
talk about how expensive board games are these days?
Oh
Like,
my
holy
God.
shit! Like $60,
Dude, I remember when like buying like Scrabble and like Monopoly would be like $20.
and you
and
know
now
what's
it's
funny
like-
is that Jaws game I got
Yeah.
it at Goodwill for $5. Nicole and I, when we brought it home and played it, like shit was still sealed. The only thing, there was 2 pieces missing, and those 2 pieces were these little red sliders you put on the card to keep track of your score. And I was like,
Oh.
I looked up the game. If you want to buy it brand new, it's $40. I was like, holy shit! I was like, I'll trade that off. Take 2 of my like scorekeepers for like, and I'll pay $5 for it.
Yeah, dude, that's
Yeah, the Alien game was $40.
It's 40, and my Godzilla game was like $40 or $50, and yeah,
And then
they're
we
all,
buy
like-
it. We play it twice because
Yeah.
we ain't got time.
But that's the thing. It's like I want to buy a board game, but then I see that price, and I'm like, I'd rather buy weed. So that ends up being that ends up kind of being the scenario there. But yeah, I mean, I would love to play more board games. I went to play Catan. You know, our friend Kenny again. Hey, Kenny.
Nicole and I
Um,
bought a
Yeah, you and your
Yeah.
fiance did, but I was gonna buy it, and I saw that it was like $60, and I'm like $60 and I have to buy extra shit too. Like if I want I'm like it's too expensive, man. Like
Yeah,
you know,
but how many times are you gonna have five or 6 people really?
yeah, and especially with we don't know how often we'll get together anymore, so it's just kind of all of us don't need to own one. I figured when you bought one, I said I'll let him. He can be the Catan holder.
Nicole was like, I bought Catan. It was like $20 or something.
No, okay, well, yeah, I would have bought it for that too. But Slash Cards, that was one. Remember I got
Yeah,
Slash
I was trying to
Cards?
remember that game you had that we
Yeah,
played.
it's a trivia multiple. Oh my god, I can't say this. It's a trivia game that's multiple choice, and it's super easy and fun.
Didn't Sam end up winning?
I think
Because it was you, me.
I
Sam
won.
and
I won a
Nicole.
bunch of times, and you guys were getting mad at me. And then Sam came up and won. I think she won one, but she got a question. It was because it was her turn, and it was a question we all knew. We were like, "Motherfucker, you bet." You know,
That's what, yeah, that's what I thought.
yeah. So that's cool.
But yeah, I
um,
like those.
Yeah, so I think again in regards to playing a horror game,
Yeah, and that horror Trivial Pursuit was like $40 too when I bought it.
I don't know how much Slash Cards was because that was a Christmas gift. But
Remember being a kid, it was like $15-$20. Like if you
Yeah,
wanted Monopoly,
$20.
it was like $20.
but no, I think it's interesting though, and a really good idea to when you have company over. It's always a good idea to have like a social game, like a board game, and like this, or Slash Cards, some sort of trivia game. And if you can make that horror, if you're a horror fan, and can find a horror trivia game or a horror board game, like that's just life. That's just beautiful, right? Because I mean, you're like, I can do what everybody else does normally, but with my own little twist of being dark, and I can do what everybody else is doing with at home with like Pictionary, but I'm doing it with motherfucking Jaws, you know. But
Yeah, that Jaws game's fun because basically either way you play it, you have all four players.
Yeah.
And one person gets to beat Jaws. See, I lost when Nicole and I played because I got too cocky because I was just fucking destroying shit. And I got cocky, and then next thing I know, I'm getting blown up. Nicole, like Nicole, it was like the game lasted 45 minutes, and I was winning like 44 minutes and 58 seconds, and then just at the end, I die.
You had that Glover Teixeira loss. That Glover
Yeah,
Teixeira.
Adesanya,
Yeah.
that Usman.
the final the late finishes.
But
Anyway,
like she had to play as all three characters, so or all three humans. So like you always play with all four. You just if you have like two people, like one person's the humans, and then you just kind of divide it up and shit.
that's awesome. Well, okay, yeah. So if any of you listeners out there want to reach out and ask us a question, or have played any of these games that we're talking about, reach out and hit us up. You can find us on social media using the same tag at High on Horror 420. And you can email us at highonhorror420@gmail.com. And again, you can visit our website and reach us through there. All right, let's review the Collingswood story now. Now, when it comes to movies, horror especially, there is a lot of what was first. There's the argument about Halloween being the first slasher. It wasn't.
Nope.
How Blair Witch was the first found footage film. It wasn't.
Nope.
However, the Collingswood story is the first of its kind.
Yep.
Although it's now kind of the norm. Before the movie, there were no movies about FaceTiming or video chatting, as I had said prior. Strangeland was as close as we had gotten, really, to the internet being a tool for chat rooms and luring girls to meet strangers and all that creepy, creeper bullshit. But video chatting was nowhere near that time. It hadn't happened yet.
Webcam quality was ass.
Yes, and fast forward a few years, and we get the Collingswood story. Just so everyone knows, this movie predates Host, the Shudder film, which even borrows some of Collingwood's plot. Honestly, it also predates Paranormal Activity, Unfriended, Friend Request, and so on. Any movie that you can think of where people are talking through a computer with one another came after Collingswood's story, as long as there's a camera involved, I mean. And this cult film was ahead of its time, and yet a lot of people still don't know about it somehow. So it just passed its 20th birthday, so we thought it's time to talk about it, right, John?
Hell yeah. So in the year 2002, we got an eerie, spine-chilling supernatural horror film entitled The Collingswood Story, and it was released here in America. The movie was written and directed by today's guest, Michael Costanza. Featured a cast including Stephanie Dees, Johnny Burden, Grant Edmond, and Diane Behrens.
I'd say Barons? Yeah.
Behrens.
Yeah, Barons.
It's fun every week. Trying, I'm sure, to just listen to me struggle through people's last names. Stephanie Dees plays the role of Rebecca Miles, the main character of the movie, while Johnny Burden plays her boyfriend, Johnny. Diane also played Vera Madeline, the mysterious online psychic whom Johnny and his friend Billy had encountered via webcam. The film takes viewers on a gripping journey as we follow the characters' experiences with paranormal events and unearthly entities in a historical home in Collingswood, New Jersey.
Yep.
And Rebecca Miles, she moved to Collingswood, New Jersey to attend Rutgers. She rents a room in a historic house and receives a webcam from her long-distance boyfriend, Johnny. And on her 21st birthday, Johnny's friend Billy introduces him to an online psychic named Vera Madeline, whom Billy claims contacted his deceased father. However, Rebecca is skeptical of Vera and decides to have a virtual session with her first. And during the session, Vera appears in a darkened room backlit by 2 candelabras, and she's wearing sunglasses. It's always up with people at night wearing sunglasses.
They're
always weird.
Sunglasses at night. Had to do it.
Rebecca
Now, if
gives...
Josh, if our editor loved us, he'll insert like the actual clip from the song there, but he won't. He'll let all our listeners hear my terrible ass singing.
Probably.
Anyway.
He don't do a whole lot for us. We love you, Josh. Rebecca gives Vera a false name, but to her surprise, and I think this would creep me out, Vera calls her by her actual name.
Yeah, right away.
And Johnny also has a session with Vera, and she asks him who referred him. When he mentions Rebecca, Vera tells him about the grim historical events that occurred in Collinswood. There was a secret society founded by a French immigrant named Alan Tashi in the 1800s. The society was responsible for the murder and mutilation of 9 girls, cutting out their eyes before dumping their bodies in a well. The townspeople attempted to seek vengeance, but found Tashi's home empty. They discovered a wooden shaker toy in the attic, but no sign of Tashi.
Well, I want to say at this point, before you go on real quick, that while Vera Madeline appears to be helping, Johnny, she's very sketchy. Watching the movie, at least for me, for the first time, I was like, I don't trust her. Even though she seems like she's helping, there's this air of, can I trust her? Did you feel that, or did you buy into it?
I always feel that about every psychic.
True.
I would just feel
Every psychic.
I don't trust psychics to start with. I'll believe them, so
Yeah.
I'm always skeptical of them. Rebecca ends up becoming curious about the secret society, and she starts looking for evidence around town. She kind of records the videos and then sends them to Johnny an email. She records footage as she drives around, but she can't find the Tashi house. She reconnects with Vera for another video conference on Halloween weekend, but Vera just all of a sudden now just acts like she doesn't have any knowledge of the secret society, and repeatedly
Shady, like I said.
and repeatedly claims that her psychic readings, which she did say on the first one, are for entertainment purposes only. Rebecca finds postcards depicting a wooden shaker toy on the bookshelf in the den, similar to the one found in the crime scene photos in Tashi's attic, and she begins to suspect that Vera might be a member of the secret society. And then Johnny contacts Vera again. She tells him to get Rebecca out of the house, alluding to the fact that the secret society practices its rituals in the attic. Rebecca goes on a drive to get food. She attempts to locate the Tashi residence and finally manages to find it. When she returns home, Johnny tells her what Vera had said, but she decides to explore the attic anyway. Mm-hmm. And this
Typical
attic is fucking huge.
Typical white people stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't believe. I'd be like, okay. I'm kind of with. I more feel like I align with Rebecca in this movie. Like,
Yeah.
I want to be like, okay, yeah, there's some secret society here. But that attic was fucking huge, no?
Yeah, it was.
I saw it. You had me watch it. And I remember watching it going, this attic's huge. And then I had Nicole watch it because I figured she would like it. Mm-hmm. And she was like, I remember she's like, this is the attic?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, it's like, this attic's fucking huge.
Yeah, that would have been like my bedroom. Some people
There was like another door in the attic.
Yeah, like a whole other room. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so where the fuck was it? Yeah, she finds the when she decides to explore it anyway, she takes the webcam up. That phone line, my God, she got like 100-foot phone line to connect for the video chat. And like, I know just from Ethernet cables, I had a 20-foot one, and the speeds were so damn slow on it. Like, and this is dial-up. We're not even talking broadband at this point.
Right. We're far from broadband at that point, yeah.
So I don't know how he would have seen anything. She finds a secret room, and she locates old photographs and occult paraphernalia. However, a webcam stream is interrupted by a video call from Vera, who warns her to leave. Vera then removes her sunglasses, revealing one glass eye, and explains that she narrowly escaped the cult who cut out one of her eyes. Suddenly, Vera's call ends, and Rebecca reconnects with Johnny, who watches as she attempts to flee the attic in a panic, but is confronted by Alan Tashi, Meanwhile, an unknown figure emerges from behind Johnny's closed door and attacks him. The suspenseful tale ends with watchers wondering what happens next. So,
Well said.
but yeah, I mean, like you said, we've mentioned a couple times on here, Collinswood film is, or I'm sorry, the Collinswood story is a film that's way ahead of its time. Kind of offers a glimpse into the early days of the internet, so anybody who remembers that era will, I mean, it's authentic
nostalgic, yeah.
I mean, it was filmed at that time, but yeah, I mean, I feel like the World Wide Web was like, it was full of excitement and wonder back then. Like, there was all kinds of like weird shit you'd find, and like, but now it's just like people arguing with each other on Facebook or Twitter.
Yep.
But yeah, the internet of today is a far cry from what it used to be. Anyway, the Collinswood story is a solid film. It kept me engaged from start to finish. The acting's top notch, and it's really believable with Stephanie Dees delivering a performable. I think I just combined two words. A memorable performance. Like I said, I relate to her a lot because I would not have bought into the hype surrounding that shit, and that's why I would have ended up dead. But overall, I give the film a 7.6 out of 10.
You know, and yeah, this is a really good movie. What I like about it is that it's simple and atmospheric. It has a lot of atmosphere, and I love atmosphere films, especially atmospheric films. I mean, especially when they're like supernatural. That's when you really need atmosphere in your movie, and this movie sets a great tone of atmosphere. It's creepy, and it's not creepy actually. Creepy isn't the word. I'd say this movie's eerie, and I don't really use that word much, but it fits this movie perfect. It's an eerie movie that packs a surprising amount of suspense and definitely delivers. Where it suffers, in my opinion, is that it's not scary. I don't walk away from this one having nightmares, but it's a cool concept that's become the norm now. And like you said, the acting's good, the pacing's nice. There's not a whole lot to complain about. It's a slow burn with characters that are believable. And in my opinion, this is one of those perfect movies to watch with like candles burning and like, you know, the windows open while it storms outside. It sets the mood.
Maybe talk to Miss Cleo while you're watching it.
7.5 out of 10 for me.
And yeah, so the interview, it's full of fun facts and knowledge, so there's no burn and learn today. So let's get Mike Costanza on and get on with the interview.
Our guest today is the writer, director, and editor of the film that we're talking about today, The Collinswood Story. He's had a career in film since the early 90s and has won awards for short films and created the popular LBGTQ series Dante's Cove. Welcome, Michael Costanza. Thank you for being on High on Horror.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate being here.
It's a pleasure to have you. I want to start off this interview by asking you the first question that I usually ask everybody. You're on High on Horror, so
Sure.
do you indulge in cannabis for recreational or medicinal purposes at all?
I do. I'm actually a indica guy. I can't do the sativa because I'm already like naturally hyped up and hyper, so that doesn't work for me so well. But I do partake in some indica every now and then.
Okay, I was gonna say, how much do you smoke and how often, if you don't mind me asking?
Usually, I'm lately really into Northern Lights. Sometimes like right before I go to bed.
Nice. Now, is favorite tongue tied there? Is smoking your favorite way to indulge, or do you prefer edibles?
I used to do edibles, like during the day, and it worked for a while, and then I don't know, just it would just jack up my stomach. So then I just was, then I kind of just switched to vaping.
Vaping, nice.
But what do you guys prefer?
Definitely weed.
I just like the old school, just smoking the flower for me.
Yeah, that's good too. I mean, come on.
And yet, I will say the edibles, since they've like, I feel like there's some kind of limit, and they're just like 10 milligrams. And I have the same thing as like, you have to eat like 4 of them, and then I'm like, oh, my stomach feels all jacked up from these like weed gummies.
Exactly.
I do get fucked up from vaping though.
Now, have you always been a fan of the horror genre?
You know what? I guess I have. Ever since an early age, my mother used to love to like terrify me, scare the shit out of me when I was 3 years old. So that could have turned me into a complete psychotic, but I just kind of channeled all that into my love for horror, as sick and twisted as that sounds. So I owe a lot to my mother for wanting to scare the shit out of me from like 3 to 5 years old. I mean, she would put a stocking over her head. I mean, I'd be a little kid like taking a shit, and she would barge into the bathroom with a stocking over her head, and like I'm like I would be freaking out. I'd be like, "Wah!" So,
Yeah, it's funny. Like, my dad, I don't think he necessarily tortured me with it, but like, I saw Halloween when I was 3. Like, it came out and I was 4. Like, so I kind of understand the like. I could have went the opposite way and just been terrified like my whole life of horror, but I was terrified. But for some weird reason, I just wanted to keep watching more.
completely, yes. So yeah, so from that, I mean, I just with all the classics, once you dived into Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, up to The Exorcist, John Carpenter's Halloween, I've always loved it, and
Yeah,
actually,
I'm sorry.
back to my mother, she sent me as a gift that the Halloween shaker that I used in the Collingswood story. So when I opened that up, I was like, whoa, this is so creepy. And so that kind of inspired me to make the film too. So many things happened at once when I thought about the Collingswood story. So, but I had to throw
Yeah,
that
that's
in there.
funny. I actually was going to ask later about the shaker and how that came about, but that was from your mother.
Yep. She sent me that as a birthday gift. The year before I made it, the year before I made Collingswood. So, I was completely, obviously inspired by the Blair Witch Project too. So the Blair Witch Project, the shaker, and then, testing out a webcam, it all sort of came together.
That's cool. I like how you use the shaker that your mom gave you to use in your horror film, and she's kind of like your inspiration for horror. So that's kind of a nice little Easter egg. Well, I wanted to ask you, what made you want to work in film? Like, how old were you when you knew you wanted to do this for a living?
Oh God, I was really young. Jeez, I guess the first thing that obviously special effects, watching films as a kid, and then I was always really interested in the editing. I would try to wrap around my in my brain, how the hell do they cut these different shots? How does the montage work? How does that was like far back as like grade school. I always had like a interest in film.
So you were just one of those kids that always just wanted to make movies, like in his backyard and shit.
Exactly.
Well, what's
Which I
your
did in
goal
high
as a
school
director?
too.
Oh, shit. Well, yeah. What's your goal as a director? Like, what's your bucket list thing that you would like to be involved in before you like hang up your gloves?
Wow, that's a great question. I like to try different genres. Possibly a documentary.
Okay.
So we'll see.
Okay. Yeah. So you want to do like a feature length documentary type of thing?
Yeah, I mean it's one of the things I'd like to do.
Okay. Nice. Nice.
I mean, I love,
Um.
of course, like I love the horror genre. I love supernatural. But there's just so many real life horrors
Right.
that it's I might want to just do something based on on that. So we'll see.
That sounds interesting, man. Well, and getting into the Collingswood story, I wanted to say that Strangeland that had some, internet stalker action in a chat room, but the Collingswood story is the first time a psychic reading and paranormal activity was done over the internet, and this has become known as the first screen life film. Now, it's common, day to day stuff to have a horror movie take place on a laptop. Just look at like
Yes.
Unfriended and Host. How did you feel about that?
You know what? To be honest, I didn't see Unfriended. I actually liked Host. The thing is, I just wish it was longer. It had a really strange running time. It was, relatively short.
Yeah.
But overall, I really liked Host. The only thing, I mean, and I know that fans love this. This just personally doesn't work for me. When someone is suddenly like whisked back really fast, like when the dude, like she's sitting in the chair and all of a sudden she gets like whisked backward. That always makes me laugh, and it totally takes me out. I know it like scares like people, like, but for me, it just I don't know. I always start laughing, and then I'm like, fuck, I was just so in the moment, and then it takes me out. So I don't know. Do you guys? Does that work for you, or does that not? Do you like those effects? I mean, some people do. Some people love it, but
I
me
think that
personally,
it matters depending on the movie. Like if you go by say like the ending of REC, I don't know if you've seen that, but it's like she's crawling on the ground at the end and she kind of gets yanked back. That works for me, but on what you're
yes.
saying, I totally get it. Where you can just see somebody's on like a rope or something getting pulled back, and it is kind of the other thing that makes me laugh is when you see the person. Usually, like when it's not a demon, it'll just be like a person who holds their hand up, and that makes the person fly across the room, and that kind of ruins it for me too. Like just I have so much power. Let me just hold my hand up, and you're gonna fly across the fucking room.
Right.
So, where did the idea for the Collingswood story come from?
I was completely inspired by um, Ed Sanchez. I mean, I actually ended up meeting Ed, and we still communicate today. He's a wonderful guy, and actually, I really liked Exists too. I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
But when I was writing Collingswood, I just had bought a webcam, so I was just playing around with that as if it was a video camera, not just attached to the top. Because back in the day, you had to have it attached to the top of your like desktop.
hmm
So I was really just using that as a video camera. So I just thought, well, I don't have a hell of a lot of money to make a feature film, but if I made this film all through the point of a webcam, um, it might just work. I mean, it's an experiment. Either it's going to work or it's not. So I just took the chance and did it. The story, um, when I was in the library in Collingswood, New Jersey, I was trying to dig up to find out if there was any weird myths or any crazy shit that happened. And there, excuse me, there was. So back in and it happened on Lee's Lane. There was this house that was a scene of these murders, but it was arson also. So I incorporated that into it. So that's where the whole story elements came from. And then, once you start writing, just the characters, come into your head. And the part of Vera, played by Diane Behrens, I definitely wanted to have this hokey, psychic in the mix too, but then have her twist that, it ends up what she's telling is true or is really happening.
Well, where did you get the judge's story from? Where did that come from?
Um, that, um, that was based on the Andrian Yates story that happened at the time that I was completely freaked out and saddened by. And one of my friends from high school had the last name Hawks, one of my best friends. So I used that. But and I should really say I had to go to court for this like traffic thing, and the judge was a fuck, like just the biggest asshole because he believed the cop, and it was totally just one of those things where it's like fuck you. So I wanted it to be a judge. I wanted like the judge to be the bad guy there. So
That's awesome. I wonder if he ever figured that out.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
And what made you want to set it around video chats?
I think too because as an independent filmmaker, you don't have a lot of money. You're just scrambling, and at the time, there was just no money. So this concept was totally did not require much money because again, I actually used a high-aid camera to be in place of the webcam. That cut down a lot of the production costs, and I shot in my apartment, in friends' apartments, stuff like that. So
Yeah, and I was going to ask, did you actually use any actual webcam footage? Because I think people today that weren't familiar with the technology back in 2003, like that video quality would not have looked that good through a webcam.
exactly, because it was dial-up. But at the time, I just had this premonition. I was like, this is where it's going to go. This is where it's headed. And one agent at the time said the same thing. He's like, come on, this footage doesn't look, but I told him, I'm like, well, but there's going to be broadband, which was a little better quality. But yes, I should have distressed it a little bit more. But, some of the FaceTime, today, if you click on, if you use HD, whatever, it is pretty clear. But you know what? I noticed when I was watching Host, I was like, oh, you know what? That really isn't crystal clear footage. So,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, I imagine that the movie was
Right.
considered experimental at the time, right?
I'm sorry?
I imagine that the movie was considered experimental at the time of its release.
Yes. I mean, when I first shopped it around, I mean, this was right after it was done, like in 2001, people were like, what are webcams? I have no idea what a webcam is. So it really wasn't until like a couple years after that. And then in 2006, when it got invited to some film festivals like Fright Fest in London, then people were like, oh, yeah, now we know what webcams are. But again, it's still, the whole screen life thing wasn't mainstream yet at all.
Right. Well, the movie is over 20 years old now, and it's still relevant. And Cauldron Films had even just put out a sweet physical media release. How does it feel, to see your work still being appreciated?
Awesome. Because you know what? I always believed in the film, and the actors did too. So I was really stoked when Cauldron contacted me, and they were like, this film deserves a Blu-ray release. I was like, thank you so much. So I, really appreciate them getting it out there again, which is really cool.
Yeah, definitely. And I wanted to ask you, you had brought up Vera Madeline earlier, and I wanted to know, is she based off of like any psychics? Because like when I watch the film, every time I watch it, I always think of the psychic from Phantasm.
Yes, I watched Phantasm again recently, and I was like, oh my god! So that's where she probably came. Yes, that's where she probably came from, because it's on. I think I watched it on Shudder, and I had not seen it in years, and I was like, whoa! She's wearing her dark sunglasses.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I think at the time I don't think I was thinking of it, but it had to have been more subconscious. But the reason too why I had Vera wearing the glasses was just to hide the reveal. Too, that was really the only way to hide the, her eye thing. So
Yeah, and the Vera Madeline website is still up. I checked it today. Obviously, it was telling me to install Flash, and Flash is dead, but that's a whole nother story. But do you still maintain the website, or is that somebody else?
No, I do. And,
That's awesome.
it's just so, again, it's just one of those things where 20 years ago, it's insane. But when it comes up for renewal, I'm like, what the hell? And I do it. So, but I'm glad I did because there are still people that go to it and send emails. People think she's real, which is awesome. Um, and I think too from Shutter, from Collingswood now being on Shutter, that yeah, people are like Vera Madeline, do a reading, type of thing. So
Yeah, it was cool. When I was rewatching, I was like, I wonder. I've never actually like tried to go to the website, and I looked today, and I was like, oh wow, it's still up. I fully expected it not to be. And
I think it's
yeah,
funny too about the Flash thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was telling me to install Flash, and I'm like, yeah, I can't do that now.
Right. So that probably I should have updated.
Yeah, I don't even know what they updated Flash with. I just know that they killed it off.
Yeah.
And I got a little bit of a ridiculous question for you here. Why does John keep his bike between his bed and the wall? Does he not have a better place to put that bike? I just like picture him being asleep, and the bike just moves and just like hits him while he's like asleep.
He lived in a really cramped like studio apartment. There's like no room. It's basically you walk in and that was when I was going to school in New York, that was based on my place. I mean, I literally walked in, and if you took one step, your foot went out the window. There was
Oh wow.
no room in that place. Yeah, there was West 14th Street in New York City. It was 300 a month, and right now it's 3,000 a month.
That's ridiculous.
It's insane. I mean, they redid the building, but it's still like super small. It's just so fucking crazy.
Everybody just wants that experience of being able to say they lived in New York City, or they do live there.
Exactly.
And yeah, in the film, they discuss getting cheesesteaks. As someone who lives like 30 minutes from Philly, I gotta ask: do you have a
do?
favorite spot
I
in
didn't know
Philly
that.
for
Where do you live?
cheesesteaks? We live in Newcastle, Delaware, so like northern Delaware.
Oh, well, I mean, I grew up in like 15 minutes away from Philly, so that was always a big thing, in high school.
Do you have a favorite spot?
God, you know what? I can't even remember the names of where we would go in South Philly. But do you have a favorite place?
I do. I like Jim's, but unfortunately, they just had a fire and burned down. They're supposed to rebuild sometime, but it was the one on South Street.
Okay, cool. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, getting away from cheesesteak talk, compared to shorts and other projects you've done, how was the Collingswood story different in regards to like filming it and execution?
Well, Collingswood, and I don't mean this like egotistical. Collingswood, I had complete control over, so I could make the decisions about the editing, the storyline, etc. When you work with a studio or a network, of course, it's much different, which is fine. But I for Collingswood, I'm glad that I made it more independent because again, especially with something experimental like that, there's no way a studio would ever take something like that on. So I prefer more to take risks and try stuff that hasn't been done. Dante's Cove at the time, there weren't really shows where all the characters were gay and lesbian. and young, and just it didn't matter that they were gay and lesbian. But the thing, I was coming from like the Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Charmed, that type of vibe, and the network wanted to go with more Skinamax, and I'm like, but that's not what whatever. So just to make a long story short, I left after the first season, and then it went on for another 2 seasons. But yeah, but that stuff like that happens all the time. So, I think what it comes down to is you try to work with people that are everybody's on the same page. Everybody's striving for that one creative goal that everybody agrees upon. When you work on something and then decisions are changed, halfway through shooting, it just stresses out your crew. It stresses out, most importantly, your actors. And get back to Dante's Cove. When I first shooting, they would come to me. They're like, Mike, they want me to be, naked in this scene, and I'm like, wait, what? So, not that I'm opposed to nudity, but just when it's over the top, it's like, oh my god, come on.
Yeah, that makes sense. I wanted to ask, did the actors from Collinswood Story ever meet each other, since we only really ever see them video chat?
We had rehearsals. So when we, I almost wish that I filmed some of those. I filmed auditions, but I didn't film any of the rehearsals. We had rehearsals where everybody was in person because we had to be so clear on the choices that we were making. And since I was editing this, I had to make sure that all the emotions would kind of fit, and the other actor knew how high they were going to go or how low they were going to play the scene, so it didn't seem off balance. You know what I mean? When you're watching it. So, and they believed in rehearsals. Some actors don't like to rehearse. You just sometimes like to be spontaneous. But with something like this, we had to be rehearsed. So.
Yeah, I feel like there was a genuine connection between the characters, and a lot of times when you get these kind of movies, it just kind of feels disjointed, and there's not really a relationship between the characters.
Right. Well, you know what? I lucked out because both, like Stephanie Dees and Johnny Burton, are just they were just really good actors. So we pulled off this chemistry between them, and they were never in the same room. I mean, they weren't they weren't actually webcamming with each other. So
yeah. And now, did you know that Stephanie Dees had did Halloween 4 before you cast her? Because I didn't even know that until I recently looked it up, and I went, "Oh my god, I didn't even make the connection."
Yes, it was on her when she sent in. When I opened up the headshot, I was like, "Whoa, looks really cool," and I loved that she had red hair. I thought that was really unique, and I thought she was really pretty. And when I read that she was in Halloween 4, I was like, "No way," because I actually liked Halloween 4 a lot.
Same.
Yeah, that one I liked it. So seeing her as that little kid dressed up as a penguin chasing, Jamie's uncle's a boogeyman. It was great. And Stephanie's one. I still talk with Stephanie a lot, and I hope to work with her again on something.
That's awesome. And before we get out of here today, we want to thank you again for giving us this opportunity to talk to you. And do you have any upcoming projects, and where people might be able to keep up with your work?
Thank you. Yes, I'm hopefully going to start shooting in August, and it's a feature film. It's called Lost as Fuck, and it should be fun. It should be very interesting. So I'll keep you guys updated on that. But
awesome. Yeah, and where can people keep up with you online to keep up with your projects?
Oh, I'm sorry.
where would people be able to find you online to keep up with your projects?
Thank you. MikeCostanza.com is my personal website, and then SceneRebelMedia.com is the company website, but I'm putting stuff just on my personal website too, what's going on.
And yeah, again, we want to thank you for joining us today. It's been awesome to get to talk to you about the Collinswood story.
Thank you.
Real pioneer in the genre.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks,
you so
man.
much. I really appreciate your time, guys, and great speaking with you.
Take care of yourself.
All right, thank you. You too.
Bye.
All right, thanks to Mike Costanza for joining us today, and thanks to all the horror hounds and smokers out there for tuning in. So our next episode, we're going to get into episode number 3 of Where the Monsters, and we're going to do Godzilla versus Destroya.
And that's the first Godzilla episode we've done yet, so I'm fucking hyped for that. Obviously, this is my pick.
Yeah, and then I got a counter to your Godzilla after that for episode 4, but
We'll wait. We'll see.
we'll have to wait. Anyway, make sure to follow us online, High on Horror 420, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Send us your PPA questions at highonhorror420@gmail.com, and make sure to check out our website, highonhorror.com. And I guess I'll about wrap her up. Catch you later.
See y'all next week.